Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's video is the video you guys have all been waiting for. Who am I keeping for next season? After suffering back-to-back relegations, it's now time for a massive clear out. We need to get rid of players that are currently within our squad because for me, a losing culture is here and that cannot continue. Suffering relegation from the Championship for me is just simply embarrassing. And don't get me wrong, we deserve to go down. But on paper, the squad was more than capable of finishing above the bottom three, and we failed to do so. So I want a massive clear out. And what I'm going to say in this video, it's going to sound harsh, but this is how I truly feel. And we definitely need to get players out of the door. It's going to be tough. It ain't going to be easy. Not many teams are going to want our players, but we've got to figure out a way. And as Luton, we don't announce our contract lengths. It is a bit of a guess game on who's actually under contract and who's actually leaving the football club on a free because we just simply do not know. So to make life a lot easier for myself and also you guys watching, I'm going to give you a yes or no on every single player in the first team squad on the Luton Town website. Before I go into detail, can we smash that like button? Comment down below as well which players you would like to keep at the club for next season in League One. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Quickly, before I go into the squad as well, I do believe next season will be a great opportunity for some of the young players amongst our team. And I also would like us to build a squad around the January signings. I think the January signings for me were quite good. And I think building a team around those players will make us a really good team for next season in League One under Matt Bloomfield, who is an experienced manager at the level. And if he can replicate what he did at Wycombe at Luton in League One, I'm sure we will be successful. But it does require a very important summer transfer window. One of the biggest ones, I would say, in recent history because of what's happened over the last 18 months. So let's start off with the goalkeepers. We are going to start off with James Shea. Last time we played in League One, James Shea won the Golden Glove. He's a good backup goalkeeper. I don't think we need 3 senior goalkeepers. So if we were to let go Shea, I wouldn't be against that. But he's one I would just keep. He's a good character to keep around the dressing room. He obviously hasn't played the last 2 years, but when he is called upon like he was against Preston, I didn't think he was bad. I'd never really say he has a bad game. He's quite reliable as a keeper. Loves the football club as well. I want people who love the football club. I do think he cares. But look, I can't criticise him too much because he hasn't played for Luton. So I would keep him as a backup choice keeper. And I would also bring in a youngster as our third choice. Now, moving on to Tim Krul. He's someone who I would let go. When he has played for Luton, his performances haven't been great. I have to be honest with you. I think his good years have passed him. He's definitely would be on high wages, I'm sure. Hopefully he hasn't signed a 3-year deal. He's already been at the football club for 2 years. So if he's signed a 3-year deal, I'd be very shocked and very angry because he shouldn't have signed a 3-year deal. So I would definitely let him go. And I do think he must be out of contract in the summer. So Tim Krul, thank you for what you've done, but I think it's time to go because you've not impressed me at all when you have played. And then lastly, in our goalkeeper department, Thomas Kaminski. With what's happened recently with his father passing away, I don't know what his future is in terms of whether or not he wants to go back to his home country in Belgium to be closer to his family. So I'm not too sure. I imagine he's actually signed a 3-year deal for Luton, so I do think he's got another year left. Now, don't get me wrong, he would be a top goalkeeper in League One, one of the best in League One. There are a few question marks actually whether or not he's actually one of the top goalkeepers in the Championship, but for me, I do think he has underperformed. I'm going to be honest here. We've conceded a lot of goals over the last 2 years with him as our number 1 goalkeeper. Yes, not all the goals have been his fault. He is a good shot stopper, but I do think his standards have dropped from that Premier League season to this current season, which we've just had in the Championship. So I do think if I had the option, I would allow him to leave the football club. I do not want to keep him, is basically what I'm trying to say. But if we do keep him, I'm not against it because I do think he would be a top goalkeeper in League One. But as I've said at the start, I want as many players gone as possible, especially the ones with back-to-back relegations on their CV. Moving on to the defenders, and we're going to start off with Walters. Now, Walters was signed as one for the future from the Arsenal Academy. The season just gone was his first season as a professional, well, as first team football, actually. It was his first season with a first team. He showed some good moments, showed some inexperienced moments. I do think he needs a lot more learning to do, potentially alone in the future, but maybe at League One he might get a lot more minutes and we might see some better performances. He has played under two managers and under different styles, so he's had quite a lot in his first year as a first teamer at a professional football club. So he's got a lot to learn, but he's definitely someone who I would keep as he's young and he can definitely get better. So yeah, Walters, I would keep. Moving on to Amari'i Bell. Like Tim Krul, I think his best years are gone now. I think we've got the best out of Amari'i Bell. I don't see him taking us to the next level. I also think the injuries which he has sustained over the last 18 months has kind of destroyed him as a footballer. He's far too slow now. I think he gets far too easily beaten. I think his performances also this year have not been good enough. And I would let him go. Back-to-back relegations on his CV. Thank you for the promotion from Championship to the Premier League. But for me, it's time to move on. Moving on to our club captain in Tom Lockyer. He has confirmed himself that he is out of contract in the summer. And he's definitely someone who I would let go. I personally feel uncomfortable if I was to watch Tom Lockyer play again in a Luton shirt after what's happened. But also, we don't know if he's actually good enough to play League One with having, 18 months out of the game. We do not know if he's going to be at that level. We have to be realistic here. And are you willing to give him that chance? We've been really nice over the last, 2 years with him, with what's happened. We've still paid his wages. We've looked after him as we should do. But I do think we should just depart ways. There's no guarantee he's going to be the same player. And I personally just don't feel comfortable watching him play. So Tom Lockyer is another player I would definitely get rid of. Moving on to our number 5, Mans Anderson. At the time when we signed him from Barnsley fans rate him so highly. And they still do. I've spoken to a few Barnsley fans and they cannot believe what's happened to him since wearing a Luton shirt. The constant injuries have been a massive problem, and even when he's been fit and the games he has played, he hasn't impressed me. He hasn't impressed Matt Bloomfield because he has been available for the last 10 games, 10, 15 games or so. He hasn't been playing under Matt. I don't see him being part of the plans. He was a signing that just hasn't worked out. I would allow him to leave the football club. Moving on to who I believe might be the future captain of Luton Town Football Club, and that is number 6, Mark McGuinness. Now, McGuinness for me got better as the season went on, and it just shows you that we probably should have signed him before the season started in the pre-season. Why on earth did we wait after a couple of games? Well, I think he missed the first game and we signed him just in time to play Preston. Why on earth we took that long, I do not know. Yes, there is a high fee there, but his performances under Matt Bloomfield were quite good. And when he had a consistent defence around him, he got even better, especially being that centre in the back three. I do think we are going to change formation. That's another key point here. But I'm going to talk about that in another video, about what Matt Bloomfield might do going forward. But I do think we might be changing formations from a back three to a back four. And I do think McGuinness can play a back four. He has done it at Cardiff, and that could be a nice transition for him. I also think he'd be one of the best defenders in League One. So yes, I'm certain to keep McGuinness at the football club. If another club tries to go in for him, we would expect a high fee because of the amount of money which we paid for him. I can't see us letting him go on the cheap. It's not exactly like we are desperate for money. I know we've got a cut in money from Championship to League One in terms of the TV deal, but we're not that desperate. We're quite secure financially. If we get a decent offer come through the door, we might say yes to that, but it's got to be a decent offer. We won't be accepting a below certain valuation for him. So McGuinness I would keep for next season. I have been I've been impressed with him since under Matt Bloomfield has come to the football club. Number 7, Victor Moses. Yeah, get him out the door. For a player with his experience, I'm shocked about the lack of game time that he hasn't been playing. He must not be showing it in training. Otherwise, why is he nowhere near the first team? In the games he has played, I haven't been impressed, especially playing as a wing-back. I actually do think he's a lot better further forward as a wide attacking player. He actually would suit the Matt Bloomfield formation in the 4-2-3-1, but I don't think we're going to see him. Again, age isn't on his side. His best years are gone. I would let him leave the football club, and I do think he is out of contract as well. I think he only signed a 1-year deal. Number 12, Cal Naismith. I would be open for Cal Naismith to come to the football club, but as he's not our player, we are not in control of that. Would I sign him? Yeah, in League, he would be a top-class League One player. His leadership, his experience, his quality on the ball. But I got a feeling he's good enough to carry on playing at Championship level. I can actually see him going to a club like Portsmouth, a club he used to play for. I can easily see that happening. Moving on to number 15, Teden Mengi. I've been very vocal about his performance against West Brom and how his attitude absolutely stinks. Well, that's how it comes across to me. I'm not happy with what he done this year in terms of not getting surgery when he was meant to get surgery in the summer. He carried on playing with a knock, which didn't help the situation because you can't force a player to have surgery. He then damages his knee, misses large portions of the season. His performances weren't good enough anyway. And that performance against West Brom just showed me that we've got a player that doesn't care. And I think this is all because he's got agents in his ear. I think he hired a new agent at the start of the season, and I think they got into his head. And he was trying to force a move. That's how it appeared. So I let him go. And it's a shame because he's young. There's potential there to be a really good centre half, especially at Championship level. We saw it in the Premier League season, but the attitude doesn't match with the ability, I'm afraid. So, yeah, I would let him leave the club. Moving on to number 16, Reece Burke, who's been at the club for quite a long time. Reece Burke, I would let him go. He's too injury prone. When he's fit, when he's playing consistently, he is a great player. I'm not denying that. And I love Reece Burke to stay fit for once. But he averages about 20 games a season. That's not good enough. For a player of his quality, we can't keep having that. We can't have that going forward. I'm sorry, this is going to sound harsh. I can't have players that are only fit for 20 games a season. Quality defender, in my personal opinion, when he's fit and consistent, he's one of our best defenders, but not when he's, not in the team because he keeps getting injured. His body keeps breaking down. So, yeah, I've let Reece Burke leave the football club. Time to say goodbye. Number 27, Hashioka. Again, the signing on Hashi, lots of question marks. To be fair to him, he hasn't played consistently in his position, but he's been available since Matt Bloomfield arrived at the football club. Yeah, he had a knock, but he has been available for the last games, and Matt Bloomfield he didn't play him. So I don't think he's in Matt Bloomfield's plans. For me, he does look so lightweight. I don't know if he can handle the physicalness of League One, if I'm being honest. He's someone who I'll just let go. The signing just hasn't worked out. Maybe that was a panic signing in the January transfer window. But yeah, it hasn't been a good transfer overall. Moving on to number 28, Christ Makosso. 100% I would keep, of course. Young. The performances were outstanding. I think there's a lot of development there still to be done with Makosso. And I think more time under Matt Bloomfield, more time in the country, he's just going to get better and better. And I do think we've got a really good centre-half on our hands, and we just need to give him more time and development. So yeah, 100% I would keep. Joe Johnson, number 38, 100% I would keep. Joe, for me, I think was done, well, it's a bit unlucky for him because, Championship's tough. It's hard when you get thrown in the deep end at times and not have a consistent run in the side. But as the future, potentially being at left back, yeah, I can see it. He'll get more minutes in League One, I believe. He's represented England at youth level. I think, yeah, more time, more development, understanding the way what Matt Bloomfield wants to do at the football club. I would 100% keep Joe Johnson, one for the future for sure. And then lastly in defence, number 45, Alfie Doughty. Now, my biggest concern with Alfie was under Matt Bloomfield, his performances weren't there, but under Rob Edwards, his performances were there. Whether or not he had a hangover from that injury, I'm not too sure. But my biggest concern with Alfie is he a system player? Does he only work for a particular system? Can he work for multiple systems? That is the question mark which we've got with Alfie. But he can play further forward. He can play in midfield as a number 10, as he did for Charlton. So there's potential there. But the way he came across in the interview saying we're too good to go down, well, we're not, Alfie. And are you prepared to fight and help us get back up to the Championship? If he stays, he's one of the top players in League One. 100%. He has that quality. But does he want to? I can see interest. I can see clubs being interested in Alfie, and he might be one that will leave the football club. But I would keep him, personally. So, moving on to the midfield, let's talk about number 8, Asgard. 100% I would keep. He will be one of the best midfielders in League One itself. He's obviously played there with Wigan. He's done very well there with Wigan. He's done well in the Championship with us. We need to figure out the best way to, well, for him to be dangerous every single minute in every single game, because far too often in the Championship he was going missing. But under a different style of football, which Matt I think wants to do next year, we could see one of the best midfielder performances in League One, and I do think he could hit high numbers. He might have interest, but I highly doubt he would leave. Not after 6 months. Clubs would have to offer him a big chunk of money. We paid 3 million for him, so you're looking at north of 5 million at least for Asgard. But I do think we will keep him for next season. Number 13, Marvelous Nakamba. I think the injury has made him a worse player. He isn't the same player from when we had him on loan. He doesn't look fit every time I watch him play. I would let him go. I think it's been a massive disappointment since we've signed him on a permanent deal. Number 14, Chong. Chong, for me, has let me down. I was so vocal about Chong being the man for us in this Championship season, and he's completely let me down. I think against West Brom, he managed to get his first assist for the football club. First assist in 2 years. Not good enough going forward. Yes, he's played out of position at times, but I still don't think his performances have been there. For me, the signing hasn't worked out. I do think he's got another year on his contract. It's disappointing because we've not seen the player which we saw that time where he played for Birmingham and he ripped us to pieces. We've not seen that player on a consistent basis, and that's the biggest problem. So I would definitely let him go. Jordan Clark, number 18. Clark, player of the season for us. I would keep Clark, but then I would also be against him leaving. He's, early 30s now. I think he's having his best years now. I don't see him getting better, is what I'm trying to say. I don't see him taking us to the next level. But if he has a year left on his deal, League One, he would do a fantastic job. 100%. Even if he's just a squad player, I do think he would do a fantastic job. Scored some very good goals for us in the Championship in the season just gone. He had his best ever season in terms of attacking contributions as well. One of, Matt Bloomfield's best performers. I would keep him, but I wouldn't be against him leaving. So, Clark, I guess it's whatever Matt Bloomfield decides with him. Moving on to number 20, Liam Walsh. Now, this is where it gets interesting. His performances have changed. Now, I saw someone put a comment on my videos going, Lewis, you wanted him gone, now you're saying keep him. I'm saying keep him on the basis of he performs like he has done under Matt Bloomfield. If he shows us what he did before Matt Bloomfield in getting sent off, not performing well, not being fit under Rob Edwards, then of course I don't want to keep him. I don't know how many years he signed. This is an issue. I think he might have signed a 2-year deal. So I would keep him because those performances, what he was doing under Matt Bloomfield, were very good. He was controlling games in the Championship. And last time he played League One, he was in the Team of the Year. He was very good in League One. So if you think about it, if you've got a good League One player on your hands, why get rid of him if you know he's proven at the level and he can already do it? So it's whether or not Matt Bloomfield believes in him. So I would keep Walsh. Moving on to number 22, Lamine Fani. Keep him young. I think he's got a lot of development to go. Obviously, it's a little bit harsh for him because he's played under 2 managers, different systems. We need to figure out his best position. He's the defensive midfielder, according to everyone in Sweden. So why is he not playing as a defensive midfielder? He's the future of that Nakamba position if we carry on playing with a defensive midfielder. His passing ability is probably one of his biggest strengths. And the last couple of games of the season, he actually was performing quite well. athletically, he's brilliant. He can get past players with ease. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him, what he can do under Matt Bloomfield. So, yeah, I would definitely keep. Number 26, Shandon Baptiste. Whether or not, we've got no choice here. He signed a 3-year deal. There's no way we're selling him. He's been absolutely shocking. Yeah, forget that Coventry moment. Shocking. Not been fit enough. If Matt Bloomfield can keep him fit, then we've got a good player. But that's the question. Can we keep him fit? He's going to be here next year. There's no way clubs are going to be after him. I cannot see it. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Sorry, guys. He's going to be here next year, whether we like it or not. And then moving on to the last position in the midfield, number 37, Zach Nelson. Zach Nelson, exactly like Joe Johnson, I think will get more game time in League One. Lots of development there. I think he's a good player. We've seen it in certain moments in the Championship. There were some moments where he weren't quite good under 2 different managers. I'm excited to see what Matt Bloomfield could do with our youngsters. I think that's a really key point here. We've seen our youngsters, in the academies be successful. We've had a good couple of players go out on loan and be successful out on loan. I think with a combination of youth, the January signings, and also some good quality players, we've got something special here, which we can build on under Matt Bloomfield, under a League One manager who was successful here, especially with Wickham. So, yeah, 100%, I would keep Zach Nelson. And then finally, moving on to our attacking players. So, number 9, Colton Morris, I would let him go. I'm sorry, but he might care, but I just don't think his performances have been good enough. I really don't. He isn't the complete striker for me. I feel like when he plays, we play one way, and that's boot it clear. And I want more of a complete striker. The performances just haven't been good enough. And he went through games not having a shot at goal. You can't have that. At League One, yeah, he could score 20 goals easily. I'm not denying that. But like I say, I want more players leaving the football club. So, yeah, Colton Morris, I would let him go. Number 11, Elijah Adebayo. Whether we like it or not, he's going to be here next year. He's recovering from his ACL injury, and as a professional club, we have a duty of care. I imagine there's another year left in his contract, so I can imagine he will be here next year, whether we like it or not. We most likely will see him in the January transfer window next year. So, yeah. We're going to have to make a decision with him next season rather than this upcoming one. Got no choice. He's injured. He ain't going anywhere. Number 19, Jacob Brown. I let him go. Baffling signing originally because of lack of goal scoring threat which he had at Stoke. I thought in glimpses in the Premier League he showed what he was all about. But for me, it's just lack of consistency in his performances. He's had a couple of serious injuries as well, which hasn't helped him. But I don't think he's the one going forward. I'm looking at my striker thinking, is he going to get me 20 goals? And I just don't think he is. So, I'm sorry, Jacob Brown. He's in his prime as well, so he might have some interest elsewhere. Other teams might look at him and go, yeah, he's worth a punt. But for me, no, I don't want him anymore. Number 21, Ali, 100% I would keep. You've seen what the performances he's done since he's signed in the January transfer window. Exactly like Asgard, if a club wants him, they would have to offer us a high amount of money, as we've only recently signed him. If he's doing what he was doing in the Championship, imagine what he's going to be doing in League One. I expect to see a really good player. Number 25, Isaiah Jones, another one signed in January. We've seen in moments what he can do. I want a little bit more consistency in him. I want him to be a lot more braver on the ball. I want to see him use that pace and go at players. He could be a really good player for us in League One, Isaiah Jones, if he's got that confidence. But he's another one. He's like Elijah Adebayo. If he ain't got that confidence, he isn't a good player. But I think him further forward would be a lot better rather than further back defending. Number 44, Nordas. We haven't seen much of Nordas, if we're being honest with you. Like, obviously, the circumstances coming back from Norway, they only just started their pre-season. Massive question mark on why we actually signed him originally. We're yet to see what he's really all about. Once we've had this pre-season in England, let's see what he can do in League One. Let's see what he can do. Because he's been signed to play in this new system, which I think Matt Bloomfield wants to do in the 4-2-3-1. He's a lot more mobile than Colton Morris, in my opinion. We've seen it in moments, But I think it's really harsh to judge him on the minutes he's played so far, as he's only really been a sub-impact player. Yeah, just not really seen much. And I think the circumstances when he was in Norway, they just started their pre-season, didn't really help the situation. So I want to judge him properly next year. So yeah, of course I would keep him. And lastly, in the first team, Josh Bowler. I can't see him playing for us next year. I think he isn't happy with the treatment. Matt Bloomfield promising to play him and then changing the system that doesn't allow him to play. Also, he did one or two moments on the sub appearances, like coming on against Cardiff and Stoke. But yeah, not enough really to really judge him on. So I don't see him staying with us next season. And then let's look at the first team players that are out on loan. So Corley Woodrow, we have to be honest here, let him go. Not been good, unfortunately. Even at Blackburn, he hasn't been good. So yeah, let Woodrow go. The legend in Pelly Ruddock, I think it's time to say goodbye to him. And that hurts me to say because he's one of my favourite players. But is Pelly going to take us to the next level? He isn't. Of course, he could do a job in League One, no problems at all. But I do think we need to say goodbye to Pelly and say thank you for your service. I know it sounds so harsh, but I think we've got to make that decision. Number 29, Tom Holmes, who's been on loan in Belgium. He actually hasn't played that many games over in Belgium. It just hasn't worked out, this signing. He looks very slow. I look at more athletic, mobile defenders. Makosso, I would rather give more minutes to than Tom Holmes. But I've got a feeling Holmes will have at least another year in his contract. So if he will do a good job in League One, no problems at all. He's a physical defender, just like McGuinness. But I just don't see him in the future. I really don't. But I could be wrong. He's still, he's not an old defender. He's in his good years as a defender. So he might prove me massively wrong, but I just don't see it. And then you've got Jack Walton, who is another senior goalkeeper, by the way. He's on loan at, I think it's Dundee he's on loan at. Performing well over there in Scotland. I don't know if he's going to be here next year. I'll be honest with you there. I think he would want to play in Scotland. I think he's done quite well over there from what I've been told. So yeah, I can't see him staying next season. And then the last player, Dion Pereira. He's been at the club for a while now. He's had so many loan spells. I think he's in non-league right now. I think it's time to just let him go. I think he's on loan at Dagenham and Redbridge. Yeah, he is. Might as well just let him go. And Dagenham have just confirmed relegation today as I'm recording this video, so to the National League South. I just think it's time to say goodbye to him. He's clearly not ready for the Football League and first team football at Luton. So yeah, loads of players I would get rid of. So just to give you a recap, James Shea keep, Walters keep, McGuinness keep, Makosso keep, Joe Johnson keep, Alfie Doughty keep, Asgard, Walsh, Baptiste we've got no choice to keep, Clark, Fane, Nelson, Ali, Isaiah Jones, Nordas, and we've got no choice to keep Elijah Adebayo. So lots of clear out needed. And that's me just telling you guys the truth. It sounds very harsh, but that's what happens when you get relegated. That's what happens when you suffered back-to-back relegations. I know this was a very long video. I do apologise, but I needed to make sure I tell you everything that I needed to get off my chest and tell you the truth about what players I would keep and get rid of here at Luton Town. So thank you guys for watching. It has been a pleasure. Stay tuned in for tomorrow's video. I will be uploading as much as possible over the course of the summer. I will do a reaction video when we announce the retain list as well. You get my initial thoughts there. But fingers crossed we get rid of as many as possible. Smash that like button. Let me know down below who you would keep at the football club. Subscribe to my channel if you are new. Don't forget to follow me across all my social media if you haven't done already. And I'll see you guys in the next video.